We are ready for the NFL playoffs. Let's take a look at your scenarios here. The Patriots have already clinched the 1 seat in the AFC. As long as Kansas City wins, they'll get the 2 seat in the first round bye with the Patriots. Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, they've already clinched their divisions. So one of them will be the 3 seat and the 4th seat, but Pittsburgh can get the 2 seat if they win and Kansas City loses. Jacksonville has locked up the 4th seat no matter what. The Raiders, thanks to their win last week over the Browns, have clinched a playoff spot and will be the 5th seat no matter what. So they will not start their starters for this week. Then it comes down to that last playoff spot. Baltimore, a win, and they're in. But if they lose and Buffalo beats New England, the Bills go to the playoffs. Then in the NFC, things are a lot more crazier. If the Packers and Eagles both win, they win their divisions and get the 1 and 2 seats. But if they lose, the Packers and Eagles are still in the wild card, but Dallas and Minnesota will get into the playoffs with winning the divisions. The winner of Rams and Seahawks wins the NFC West, and the loser will miss the postseason. Saints have already won the South. They have nothing to play for, but if the Packers and Eagles lose, then the Saints will be the 1 seat with either the Rams or the Seahawks getting the bye. If the Falcons win and the Vikings lose, Minnesota is out of the postseason. Something that is not on there is that Dallas has also clinched a playoff spot no matter what. So here we go. Let's get into it. The last week of the regular season, week 17. Let's see what ensues. The Giants, they beat the Redskins 24-21. And this game also has nothing that affects the playoff picture. The Giants finished last in the NFC East at 4-12. The Redskins go to 5-11, and questions if Kirk Cousins will return to the Redskins. But a big game from Odell Beckham Jr. as the Giants look to get back to the playoffs like they once were a year ago. Then the big game, the game that a lot of people looked at and said that was going to be the best game of the week. Well, it was. The Rams win at 29-22 over the Seahawks and clinch the NFC West along with the playoff spot. Seattle's out of the postseason. As it came down to a late 4th down conversion, Russell Wilson threw a pick, and Seattle, their season ends with a 10-6 record. The Seahawks won the West last season, but the Rams, it is their turn to control their destiny towards a Super Bowl title. Then, the NFC North title game, the Packers are able to beat the Minnesota Vikings 27-17, and the Packers, with their wins so far, have the 1 seat. But if Philly wins, then the Eagles get the 1 seat. Rodgers with a good day. He had the only turnover of the afternoon with an interception. And Minnesota, they have to hope that the Falcons lose to the Panthers so that their postseason hopes stay alive with a 10-6 record. Packers 13-3, 1 win better than what they did last year. Another game that has no effect on the playoff picture, San Francisco, they get a win over the Cardinals, their second win by 14 or more points. Jimmy G with a good day, and the 49ers forced 3 turnovers on the Carson Palmer, 2 picks and a fumble. Questions whether Carson Palmer will come back next year for the Cardinals. Finish last in the division due to the tiebreakers. The 49ers go to 5-10 and finish 3rd in the division. The Browns will go 0-16 this season. A 28-27 loss to the Cincinnati Bengals, becoming the first team in the NFL simulation to lose every single game. And the Browns are looking at a new quarterback, as they're saying DeShone Kizer will not be the starter for next season, as Andy Dalton had a very nice day, but an interception, ruining that the Bengals go to 7-9 on the season. They went 6-10 a year ago. The Buffalo Bills lose 23-3, and therefore the Baltimore Ravens will get the final playoff spot in the AFC. Buffalo comes up a game short. Tyrod Taylor, part of the reason they lost is he got hurt in the 3rd quarter with a shoulder injury. Nathan Peterman came in and did absolutely horrible for the Bills. Brian Hoyer got the start for the Patriots, and he did all right, good enough to lead the Patriots to victory by 20 over the Bills, and New England will go into the playoffs with a victory. The Falcons beat Carolina, and therefore Minnesota is out of the playoffs. The Falcons will get the 6th seat and face the 3rd seat, depending on what happens. Matt Ryan had a decent day. Cam Newton, not the best of days. Carolina finishes 8-8, and the Falcons will go into the playoffs with the same record as last year, just not NFC South champions. A big day from Julio Jones. So Atlanta will not have home field advantage unlike last year. The Dolphins had a huge victory over the Jets. They went 38-7 going into the fourth quarter. The Jets came back with 14 points of their own. Alex Moore started, and then Jay Cutler finished off the game with horrible stats. Bryce Petty, 3 interceptions, and the Jets saying they're going to look for a quarterback in the draft as well. Bryce Petty clearly not being their guy in the last 2 games, so maybe the Jets can get someone new in the draft. The Jaguars, their starters only played 3 quarters. They only put up 12 points, and that matters. Tennessee went on a 21-12 victory. Bortles didn't look so well, and then Doug Marrone saying we'll just pull the starters in the fourth quarter. They didn't throw the ball once. TJ Yeldon ran the ball. But Mariota, decent day, but just a lot of turnovers. And the Titans, the defending AFC champions, are not going back to the playoffs as Jacksonville will go in with the 4th seed with a 10-6 record. Thanks to their win, Kansas City will get the 2 seed and a first-round bye with a 13-3 record as they rout the Los Angeles Chargers. The starters played so that they would definitely secure the 2nd seed if anything were to happen with Pittsburgh tonight. But Smith, very good game. Phillip Rivers had a decent day. The Chargers go 6-10. Kansas City went 12-4 last year. They go 13-3 this year and don't have to worry about anything happening in the wild card, just like a year ago. The Raiders win a very boring game, 10-6. The only touchdown was a pick 6 by the Raiders in this one as Denver, they struggled and will have the 2nd overall pick in the NFL draft. Paxton Lynch had a horrible day. E.J. Manuel started for the Raiders, but Jalen Richard was big on the ground. Seth Roberts was the only starter for the Raiders out there. They go 11-5, which was a game better than last year. The Raiders went 10-6. Denver went 6-10 last year, and they finished horrible. As the Saints, they put in the starters for some reason. They win 27-20. I think they were doing it just in case the Eagles and the Packers lost. They would have gotten the 1 seat in all that chaos. But Breeze, another good day. Didn't have to throw too much. Alvin Kamara only ran 10 times. Mark Ingram was the main rusher in the game. Jameis Winston will be back for next season with the shoulder he suffered against the Saints. But the Bucs finished 5-11. Then America's Game of the Week, the Cowboys play like absolute garbage as Philadelphia wins and they get the 1 seat and a first-round bye. The Cowboys will get the 5th seat and they'll play the Saints. But Prescott, not a good day at all. Alfred Morris didn't have a good day on the ground. Carson Wentz and the Eagles, they just ran the ball most of the day because all they needed to do was win, and they did that with the ground game late. Carson Wentz only threw 7 times in the second half as the Eagles rout the Cowboys. The Texans, they get a good win over the Indianapolis Colts, 38-21, just like the Dolphins and the Jets. Deshaun Watson, definitely the guy of the future for the Houston Texans. They go 6-10, 3 games worse than what they did last year. The Colts go 3-13 and will have the 3rd pick in the draft by Andrew Luck. Be back for the 2018 season. So that's good, and the Colts will hopefully get back to the AFC playoffs where they got eliminated last year. The Chicago Bears sweep the Detroit Lions 34-24, and it looks like Mitchell Trubisky is going to be the guy for the future for the Chicago Bears. Trubisky had a decent day, just 190 yards passing, but in his starts, Chicago got all 4 of their wins from Mitchell Trubisky starts. So Trubisky with a good season, and the Lions go 7-9. Matthew Stafford did not have a good last game. Then, the final game of the week, the Steelers went 19-7. They had no starters. Baltimore put in their starters just in case anything happened, and it was not very fun for them. 18 for 39, 196, 2 picks for Flacco. Landry Jones was the starter for the Steelers. He didn't do too well, but James Conner, the rookie, ran for 54 yards and a touchdown, as Pittsburgh will host Baltimore in the AFC wildcard very soon. But let's take a look at your final standings for the AFC. There are your playoff teams, the top 6. 3 seat will go against 6 seat, and the 4 seat will host the 5 seat. As you see, Tennessee and Buffalo were just 1 game short, 8-8. Cincinnati had a decent season at 7-9. The Texans, Chargers, and Dolphins all at 6-10. Of course, those 0-16 Browns at the bottom. Then in the NFC, the Falcons will play the Rams, and the Cowboys will play the Saints. And you see all the teams that missed out. Minnesota was just so close. Had that 23-point comeback back in week 2. Seattle just on the outside along with Carolina and the Lions. as a bunch of teams will look to be better for next season. This is American Sports Coverage, wishing you a happy new year. Signing off.